Hi dear friends and subscribers, welcome to the Cricket Happening Show. A bit late today because I was working today. I'm sorry about that, but well, I'm back here, and today in this particular cricket show, right now we are looking at the Under-19 World Cup final, which is being played between the India Under-19 team and the Australia Under-19 team, and this is being played at the Tony Island Stadium in Townsville, and what a clash this is. Right now, Australians are under the rack in this match against India in the finals, with India Under-19 winning the toss, and they have reduced Australia to 48 for 4 in the 15th over. So India are doing a good job. Sandeep Sharma has taken, in fact, the pace bowler Sandeep Sharma has actually taken 2 wickets at the top of the order, and then Ravikant Singh and Aparajit took the other 2 wickets. Right now, Basisto, the captain of the Australian team, is not out on 4, and Head is not out on 5. Well, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to give you an update about that. But I'm going to take you down to 2 matches this time. One is a match which happened yesterday. I would like to speak about the third day's play between India and New Zealand, where India is absolutely on the ascendancy, and rain has definitely come to the rescue of New Zealand, with the play being called off very early because of rain, and New Zealand actually trailing by 238 runs following on in the second innings. 9 wickets remaining. Looks to be a very, very arduous task. And as far as the other match is concerned, Afghanistan played against Australia today, and they really gave a good fight. I will talk about that. Even though Australia won the match in the end very comfortably by a good margin, but I would be talking about that match too. But first, let's look at the game between New Zealand and India, and this is Ram recounting the third day's tale in this particular Test match. Well, as far as New Zealand were concerned, we knew that yesterday Franklin was there with Van Wyk, but it didn't take much time to really wrap up the proceedings. It was just a formality that Zahir Khan, Umesh Yadav bowled. Umesh Yadav also picked up 1 wicket, and as a pace bowler, I would say in the whole innings, if you see, the wickets have been shared by Ravichandran Ashwin, who went on to take a 6-wicket bag, 16.3 overs, 5 maidens, 31 runs and 6 wickets. Pragyan Oja, 21 overs, 6 maidens, 44 runs and 3 wickets. And Umesh Yadav taking that wicket of Van Wyk was LBW for a duck. Franklin remained unbeaten on 43 with 1-4 and 1-6, and the tail couldn't really do anything. Jitan Patel was out for 10, Bolt was out for 4, Martin to Ashwin for a duck, and Ashwin really I would say he just skied through this New Zealand tail end lineup, and they were all out for 159, thus giving a huge lead to India. And as you know, they were made to follow on. So it was a pretty huge lead. Over a 280 runs lead was taken by India, and I'm not going the bowling figures here. And New Zealand, in their second day following on, they started off with Brendan McCullum really being very cautious in his play, but Martin Guptill, well, he was also doing very well, but probably a rush of blood, one could say, because what he did is he actually had hit Oja for 2 consecutive boundaries, and then Martin Guptill tried to cut one from Oja, and well, he was actually LBW to Oja. He tried to cut it, but the ball actually came in, and he was adjudged LBW. So he was LBW ball Oja for 16. That was the only wicket to go, with 3 fours, and McCullum was not out on 16 at stumps with 1-4, and Kane Williamson had come 1 drop, and he was not out on 3. And New Zealand, when rain, as I said, it's only rain that can really help New Zealand, and that's what happened. Rain came to the rescue, and rain actually fell consistently with the play being called off, and New Zealand were left with 41 for 1 at stumps on the third day of this first Test match against India, with Pragyan Oja 9 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 13, taking the solitary wicket to fall. Zahir Khan none for 4 of 5 overs. Umesh Yadav 3 overs for 13, and Ashwin just bowled 1 over in which he gave away 5 runs. But what is going to be seen is that it is going to be a very arduous task at this ground, because already in the first innings they have been struggling with Pragyan Oja and Ravichandran Ashwin. There is turn available, and probably on the 4th day, as you know, when it rains, the pitch gets dried up, and if the sun comes and the pitch gets dried up, it's quite possible that there will be more turn available, and the spinners could really run riot here. And spinners could really have a stranglehold on tomorrow's match. On tomorrow's play. Now, whether if New Zealand could really fight out such a situation, that would be great, and they would also be hoping that rains come and once again interrupt proceedings, so that at least they are saved. But I would say only rain can save New Zealand here. It's not going to be easy for New Zealand to get out of this situation. And as I've already said in my preview too, India look absolutely strong. So, but well, one has to wait and watch what really happens tomorrow on the 4 days play, and we'll wait for it. So now let's shift the attention here, and I will take you to United Arab Emirates. This is in the Sharjah Cricket Association Stadium, where Australia actually decided to play a warm-up match against Afghanistan. And for Afghanistan, this was the second match in their entire history where they are playing an ICC ranked test nation. And in this, they once played against Pakistan, as you remember, and they lost the match. And this time it was against Australia. Well, Australia were the ones who actually batted first. They notched up 272 for 8. Contributions from Matthew Wade, the opener, making a very unconvincing 75. He was not looking so good. He was not very confident with his strokes. It was a struggle for him, but he eked out 75 runs of 108 balls with 2 fours and 1 6. And Michael Clarke, the captain, was absolutely superb. He was showing the class that we know about Michael Clarke, driving well. His straight drives were something which really stood out, and he was cutting well. As you know, he likes to cut well, and he plays the spinners very well with twinkling feet, and that's what he was doing, and that enabled Michael Clarke to put up 75 runs of 94 balls with 3 fours and 2 sixes. David Warner started off with 4 fours of the bowling of Shapur Zadran, but Shapur Zadran had his man by getting him out for 24 of just 18 balls with 4 fours. Other than that, Maxwell, who actually made his debut, in fact, he got an opportunity today. As you know, Glenn Maxwell holds the Australian domestic history record. It was his ODI debut for Glenn Maxwell today, and Glenn Maxwell actually couldn't really fail today. He was out for 2 to the right arm off spin of Mohammad Nabi, who bowled excellently, I thought. And then and the Hussey brothers had to come in, and Michael Hussey was the one who gave the finishing touches to the innings when the Australian innings wound. In their 50 overs, they ended up with 272 for 8. Michael Hussey's contribution was 49 of 37 balls with 2 fours and 3 sixes, 23 coming from George Bailey. They combined into a last over partnership where 53 runs were picked up by both the batsmen, and 272 for 8 was the final score for Australia. And looking at the Afghanistan bowling, Shapur Zadran was very costly, but he also picked up the wicket of David Warner. 8 overs no more than 2 for 60. Dawlat Zadran 10 overs none for 53. Gulbuddin Naib 2 overs for 18. Karim Sadiq 2 for 22 bowled well. Javed Ahmadi 1 for 16. But look at the spinners. The spinners did an excellent job. Samila Shainwadi, the right arm leg spinner, 10 overs no more than 1 for 48. And Mohammad Nabi bowled 10 overs no more than 2 for 50. He bowled excellently. And 272 for 8 was the score Australia put up. And Afghanistan, well, they were 206 for all out, but I thought they really fought hard. I would very specifically mention about 2 innings here. One is about they lost the openers very pretty early, with Mitchell Starc, the left arm pace bowler, coming in and rocking them hard with 2 quick wickets of the bowling of Karim Sadiq and Javed Ahmadi, the openers. But Asghar Stanikzai, the one-drop batsman, really made the Australian captain really think with some beautiful strokes. And in that partnership that he had, in fact, Australia had reduced Afghanistan to a situation where they were 49 for 4 at one stage in the 12th over, but thanks to Mohammad Nabi and Asghar Stanikzai putting on 86 runs in a partnership in 14 overs, which really made Michael Clarke really think, because they were playing some good stroke. And look at Mohammad Nabi's innings. He went after the spinners. He tonked Maxwell for 6s. He tonked Xavier Doherty for 6s. Asghar Stanikzai was playing some beautiful strokes, and Mohammad Nabi collected 46 runs of 60 balls with 3 fours and 4 sixes. Asghar Stanikzai, he was the last man out. In fact, Asghar Stanikzai also put up, first it was Mohammad Nabi who was out, and Asghar Stanikzai was there, and suddenly Asghar Stanikzai suddenly started creating a fear by hitting 3 boundaries of the bowling of Starc, but Michael Starc took his wicket, and that was the key. So other than that, there was not much contribution. Yes, there was one contribution which came from Gulbuddin Naib, who crashed 22 of just 17 deliveries, 1 4 and 3 sixes. He did everything in 4s and 6s, and 206 all out. But I thought Afghanistan played very well. As I said, this was the second official 1-day 50 overs 1-day international match. One was against Pakistan, which they lost, and this is their second which they are playing in their history against Australia, and the first against Australia, and they lost the match. But it's not the question of the losing the match, but it was the way that Afghanistan played. In the end, even though Australia reduced them to 49 for 4, they had the gumption, thanks to stanikzai and the other batsman, Mohammad Nabi, who is also a very good batsman. They both of them went after the spinners, and they really made Australians think. And they were all out for 206, but I thought there was one missing bowler in that, and that was I thought Hamid Hassan, who is their main strike bowler. So probably due to injury he was missing it, and I would have definitely loved to see if Hamid Hassan would have been there in the mix, how things would have gone. But unfortunately he was not. He is a tall bowler, he is a very pacey bowler, he really strikes it very rich, and he has been bowling very well. But I thought that if Hamid Hassan would have been there, probably this would have been a different story. But one has to really wait and watch when Hamid Hassan actually gets an opportunity to bowl against the Australian batsman. Well, looking at the bowling figures, and in the end the victory was Australia's 66 runs by 66 runs. Look at the bowling figures. Mitchell Starc was the best of the bowlers. He was the man of the match too. 9 overs, 147 runs and 4 wickets. In fact, Michael Clarke had to really rely on Michael Starc to first give the breakthrough. Then he brought him into the batting power play, picked up those 2 wickets when he saw that stanikzai and Mohammad Nabi were really combining well. Stanikzai's wicket went to Mitchell Starc. Mitchell Johnson picked up the wicket of the dangerous Mohammad Nabi when he was clean bowled. So 9 overs, 147 runs and 4 wickets for Mitchell Starc. Pattinson also bowled well. 9 overs, 146 runs and 3 wickets. 2 wickets for 34 from Mitchell Johnson. The spinners, 1 for 34. Maxwell on his debut, 5 overs, 2 minutes, none for 21. David Hussey bowled 2 overs for 8, and Michael Clarke bowled 2 overs for 6 runs. And Mitchell Starc of Australia was named man of the match. But I thought Afghanistan put up a very good show. One has to really commend them on this. In the meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give you the live update before I end this cricket show, where in the Under-19 World Cup final, which is happening right away at the Tony Ireland Stadium in Australia in Townsville, India won the toss. The India Under-19 team, Munmukh Chand, the captain, won the toss and put the Australian Under-19 to bat. And the Australian Under-19 team are absolutely under the pump here. They right now are struggling at 53 for 4 after 16 overs. So that's the update coming in as far as this particular match is concerned. So one has to really wait and watch what really happens. I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting game, because Australia have the home advantage. India and Australia have never met this Under-19 World Cup final. This is the first time that they're meeting in this final, and what a fitting final this is. I would really say let the better team win. Well, on this note, dear fans, friends and subscribers, this is your host Ram ending the Cricket Happening show for today, promising you that I'll be back with a full match report on the 4 days play between India and New Zealand, and if at all any other cricket news or any other cricket developments are there. That's it from me, your host Ram, for the cricket show for today. See you all tomorrow. Thank you.